Good morning. It is Friday, July 21st, 2023. It is 6:45 a.m. in my locale. As you can see, I am showered. I have cleaned up a little bit. And so our next step is to say that yesterday was boring. It was a number of different tours, one of which there were two people who spoke English. Their three children did not. So all of our tours are small right now because we've only got the pontoon in the water. And once they fix the other pontoon, then they're going to swap pontoons, take the other one out of the water, which doesn't take very long. It just is frustrating. However, I thought yesterday was Friday when I was at work. Turns out, no, wait, today is Friday, which means it's myself and the other captain. We're going to be working by ourselves. There may be a houseboat that needs to be managed. One came in a little bit early, decided to spend the night at the dock. That's up to them. And last night I got home, I did a little bit of studying, and then I made dog food. You know, the typical and the customary. Fed the kids. They went out potty. Then it was about 8 o'clock, and I was like, time to go, and I went to bed. And they woke up this morning at about 3:45 and said, you know what, I feel pretty awake this morning and I know my body cycles. Learning for me is better way early in the morning. 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30. If that's when I want to put stuff, into my head to know things. If I was going to study, that's what I do. I used to do that in college. I'd get up at 5 a.m. and I'd start reading and studying. It worked for me. Some other people doesn't work for them. Some other people don't have a head for, what the perfect time for them to study is. And, well, let's face it, some people don't have a head. So, so I passed 2 more exams. And then today I'm probably going to start on one of the last ones later today, maybe tomorrow morning, who knows. And then I've got to talk to somebody about what the right maneuver is. I may really want to think about going out of order because the next thing coming up is a very difficult subject and I may need some help on it because it is not easy. It's a practice thing, it's a learning thing, not insurmountable, just way more difficult than weather and tides and how radar works. Okay, so let's go to our daily Zen poem. Even if you do cultivate myriad practices, if you don't know the mind, you cannot realize enlightenment. How can there be any way to fulfill the way of the Buddha if you don't realize enlightenment? Daikaku 1235-1309. That's true. You could meditate for days. You could, if you don't know your mind, how you work, how the brain works, how, the mind works with, objective reality, then there's no way to get from A to B. And again, we live in a world where it is not, I shall manage objective reality on its terms. It is a lot of complaining, whining, assertion-based thinking. In other words, because I wish it to be, therefore it is so. That is toddler thinking. That's fairy tales. And if it's not right, then it's not real. Well, you know what? Snakes are venomous, and they're right, and they're real, and that's reality. So just because you don't like venomous snakes doesn't mean you're not going to get bit by one. No matter how many times you tell yourself, I don't like snakes, mommy, 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 mommy. This level of malignant narcissism seems to be everywhere today. It's also one of the hallmarks of a failed society, or a society at the tipping point of failure. Me, 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 and if reality is not the way I want it to be, then reality is wrong. Me, 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 me. Well, as a kind friend of mine said, take your purple hair and stick it down there, because we don't deal with that here. So, let's go to our daily rune pull. And what you don't see is that Bodhi is just constantly dancing behind me because the bathroom's open. I'm taking all the steam out. Okay, let's see what we got. Jera, the rune of a good harvest, the rune of a span of time. I believe that's 110. Did I do it right? Nope, gotta look in the back of the book because I'm not too. Yep, it is 110. Look at that. Some days you just hit it. Since we've pulled this rune before, I'm going to paraphrase. A rune of beneficial outcomes. Any endeavor that you are committed, an activity you are committed, there will be a beneficial outcome, but you cannot have quick results. Okay, that means there's a span of time that is always involved, a full cycle before you reap the harvest. You've cultivated the ground, you've prepared it with care, now you have to understand you have to work a little bit, but you are going to be successful. And remember, there's no way to push the river and you cannot hasten the harvest. You must be patient so that you can recognize your own process, which leads to the harvest of yourself. Well, that fits in nicely with our poem about you can do all of these things, but if you don't know you, then it's not going to work. Take the time to know you. Find out if you're a great person. Find out if you're not a great person. If you're not a great person, prepare those things. If you are a great person, ask yourself what you're missing, because there's probably something for you to take care of. Little book. Come here, buddy. Alright. One who does not know the plans of the feudal lords cannot forge a preparatory alliance. One who does not know the topography of the mountains of the forest, the ravines and the defiles, the wetlands and the marshes, cannot maneuver the army. One who does not employ local guides will not secure advantages of terrain. One who does not know over these 4 or 5 cannot command the army of a hegemony or a king. So if you don't know what's going on around you, then you're not going to be successful. Okay, you have to know what's going on around you, what's happening. I am a little bit the opposite of that. Okay, I'm the guy that usually goes, whatever it is that's going on around me, unless it's nature, like the rain at 5:45, or high tide, low tide, or let's look at the grass, or the sky is orange, which means it might rain this morning. Other those things, when it comes down to people, I just ignore it. And that is probably a failing on my part. And that's because at least I can look at the weather and say I can make some forward plans. When I look at people, I usually say the same thing, which is I can't plan on them. So I tend to be a little blind to it. I tend to ignore it. I tend to look around and go, is that what you're doing? All right. And I just turn around and go do my own thing. That's part of being a hermit, right? You know, if you start concerning or caring yourself with other people, what are you going to get? Right in there, and you know it. And it's happened to you, and it's happened to me. So, you know, maintaining a healthy, I hate to say this, a healthy boundary between you and these creatures that are out there. And I don't know, are they humans? Are they zombies? Are they walking garbage? Are they animals? I don't know what they are. But maintaining a healthy boundary between you and them, you know, sometimes you're going to miss something, and sometimes you're not going to miss a darn thing. So, your mileage may vary. Please consult your owner's manual for more information. I have a young man here. Come here. No. You'll go first today. He is pawing at my leg because he is ready for breakfast, right? This is your quiet moment of Bodhi. I can sniff you too. Kisses? No kisses? No kisses? You gave me a kiss at 4 o'clock this morning when I walked out. Okay, you ready to go down? Okay, you go down. And now it's time to, here comes the belly. Your obligatory queso view. Did you hold the big book while I was studying today? Did you? There's a snort. Did you hold a big book for me? He just yawned in my nose. I'll accept that. Alright, so there we go. So let's come up with our plans today. Our plans today are work. Again, no big boat, pontoon boat. That means you can only have 6 people maximum, because you can only have 8. I count as 1. The captain counts as 1, and that means I think it's 5 or 6. So that means we may not have, it's Friday, so we may have tours all day. Now, yesterday I will tell you that I was sitting in the sun all day long, and it was hot. I mean, I must have drank 1.5 gallons of water, because I gotta sit up front. Because if I'm not sitting up front, I can't see anything, and I'm talking to people behind me. At least when I'm on the big boat, I can get a little bit of shade, but here, unless there's like 2 people, I can't shift my seat and get a little bit of shade, so gotta take care of that. After that, it's gonna be, I come home, probably a little cooking. I have to do a little planning ahead, because I am going to town on Monday. I will maybe taking a colleague who needs to grab some stuff, because once I get back from town, I'm not going to be able to go for 3 weeks. Because that husky you saw before, she's coming back. But she's going to be here for not a week, 2 weeks, which means I can't move the rig. There's nowhere for me to go. Because Queso is easy traveling to the store or whatnot. Queso and Bodie did pretty well on their first outing. I'm pretty impressed. But with a 70-pound husky on top of that, that's a very big ask. And I don't like to leave them in the rig 5 minutes. 5 minutes tops. Because I can just crack the window and then I can just do my thing. Run in, run out. But if it's any more than 5-10 minutes, no, they're coming with me. And that's the way it's going to be. So, let's pull it all together. Our poem tells us about understanding your mind. And no matter what you do, if you don't understand your mind, you're not going to win on this one. The rune tells us that whatever you're putting your mind to and your efforts to are going to have a beneficial outcome, and that's a beautiful thing. There's only one thing I put my mind and my efforts to have a beneficial outcome. Studying is easy. Classes can be challenging, work can be very hot, but there's only one thing that I put all my energy back towards, and again, you know, when you don't understand the people or the things that are going on around you, you may not be successful. So, you know, take it from my small error, you know, pay a little attention to the things around you. Now, I am going to say, I do have a great deal of situational awareness. I always have, because of all the things that I worked on and the places that I worked. And the other is that once what happened to me, I can't turn it off. So it's not a matter of, oh, this person's doing this and this person's doing that. And so I walk into a room and the first thing is, where's the threats? Where are the exits? How many weapons do I have? Is there anything else I can use as a weapon? I don't know. I start analyzing that space. Okay, I don't suggest that any of you wander into that area, because it does change your personality. If you are already there, then you can confirm that. Okay? Once you start looking at people as problems and not people, you start understanding 2 things. The way the world works, the way the real world works. And the other thing you start to understand is that it becomes harder to make connections with people, because you are always considered to be potential problems. And here is the biggest problem. 99 times out of 100, you're right, they are a potential problem. So now you're stuck. So, okay, let's sign off the right way, because it's getting a little long. If you don't take care of you, nobody else will. Thank you, Mom. Are they like-minded? Do they share your values? Do they have something to offer? Or no? I'm sorry, we have nothing to offer you. Close the door and lock it. If they need help getting off the property, assist them. Okay? When we were talking, they weren't listening. So now we stop talking and giving and helping and anything except to our tribe, which gets everything. They get exactly what they wanted. We sat down, we shut up, and we just simply let them be. Now they need help? Too bad, too late. If I'm talking and you're not listening, then I should stop talking and find something meaningful to do, or go get a cup of coffee, go for a walk, exercise, read something useful, because I'm wasting my time with that individual. So if they know what they're doing, leave them alone. And when they go, oh God, it doesn't work, you have to go, I'm sorry, we have nothing to offer you. You shut the door and you lock it and you're done. They had their opportunity. They had their chance. They called you names. They did all sorts of things. And what did you get out of it? Upset. You know what you get when you shut the door in their face and lock it? Your peace back. Use that as a food for thought. And have a great Friday. I'm going to feed these kids.